I think some of you might be familiar with this text. All the world, the stage, and all the men and women, merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. I'm not going to continue. You can read it in your spare time afterwards. But then Shakespeare lists 7 different stages of person's life. In this case, of man's life, being a soldier. And then, at the end, speaks about the end of teeth, the end of eyes, taste, and everything. This Shakespearean monologue is a famous example of a life cycle. There are stages and ages in life, and many of us go through similar. We are not the same, but many of us go through similar. There are many cycles in life. There are cycles in the year, in seasons, planets, and also micro elements. What this poem does not reflect is the sense of the beginning. It presents the last stage as the end. And this is where Jewish wisdom literature disagrees with Shakespeare. Being in a cycle, a circular path, is the way many people see their lives. When you complete the full circle, you don't stop, but start the circle again. The Jewish calendar is not an exception. On Sunday, we started the new month in the Hebrew calendar, the month of Elul. Today, this is the last month before Rosh Hashanah, the new Hebrew year, the time of deep reflection and self-improvement. After that, we will begin the new year. After this month has ended, we will begin the new year and the new cycle again. And this will repeat over and over again. Let's focus on this month, the last month of the Hebrew year. What significance does it have? Well, Torah or biblical literature doesn't give the month of Elul any particular role or significance. Only many centuries later, the Torah, rabbinic scholars had to make what I call linguistical gymnastics to find references to the month of Elul in the Hebrew Bible. They saw that the month of Elul, there's 4 letters. In Hebrew, these are Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. These letters are not just the name of the month, but an acronym. And these are the verses which hint at it. The first one is from the Song of Songs. And the famous verse that's repeated in many occasions, especially Jewish weddings, Ani ledodi vedodi li. I am for my beloved, and my beloved is for me. This verse, as indeed the entire book, is a love song between 2 partners. Talmudic scholars interpreted this book and said that this is not just a romantic poem, but a description of love and the ideal relationship between God and people. The first letters of this phrase form the name of the Hebrew month Elul. Aleph, Lamed, Vav, and Lamed. Elul. Therefore, rabbis connected the wisdom of the Song of Songs with the month of Elul. They said that the deep meaning of the month is about restoring the balance, restoring the relationship between people or every individual and God. In other words, they said that this balance should be restored not just between people and abstract God, but between people and inner inner voice of conscience that we all have. The ability to feel love, shame, compassion and guilt. The ability to listen to yourself. The ability to hear your inner voice. These are important feelings, but only when they are balanced and come at the right time do they make the person complete. The second quote that they used as an acronym for the month of Elul is this, from the book of Esther. Completely different season, completely different festival, but this is one of the verses that they thought is important. In the book of Esther, it is written, Ish le're'ehu u'matanot le'evyonim. And the full verse says that Jews were to observe Purim as days of celebration and joy, sending, and this is the quote, gifts to one another and presents to the poor. This verse brings ethical dimension to the month of Elul. Looking inwards, as in the Song of Songs, they said it was not enough. Reflecting on our behavior should be reflected in our actions. Do I do enough for the poor and needy around me? Am I in denial about issues in my neighborhood, in my city, in my country, in the world? Our tradition teaches that we must start with ourselves, yes, with our inner voice, but we shouldn't stop there. Acts of kindness, supporting one another, and thinking about the most vulnerable are at the core of Judaism, and the month of Elul is a reminder of it, according to our tradition. It is not just the 10 days of repentance that we should think about, our behavior and the morality of the world, but the entire month of Elul should be dedicated just for social justice and deep reflection on ourselves. It's a circular motion. Rabbi Soloveitchik, quite an important rabbi for modern Orthodox Judaism today, wrote on his book on Tshuva, his classic work on the days of awe. If you are moving along the circumference of a circle, it might initially seem that if the starting point is getting further and further away, but it is also getting closer and closer. So this idea of a circular movement is important. The calendar year is such a circle. On Rosh Hashanah, a new year begins, and every day is one day further from the starting point. Every day, you're right, is also a return, drawing closer to the completion of the cycle. The world is unpredictable. Our world we live in is unpredictable. And the last few years have demonstrated it very, very well. The key message of this season in Judaism is quite simple, but very powerful. You might think that the end is near, and there will be moments that some people will think that the end is near, and that things don't last forever, and everything is going to end. But every stop, every finish line is not just the end and finish, however sad and tragic it might seem. Every end has to be seen as the beginning of something new. Every finish line is the starting point of the new section of the journey. This year, as the month of Elul begins, regardless of all circumstances, we start our familiar journey to prepare ourselves for the new year, new reflections, new beginnings, and new hopes. The month of Elul is the final part of a year-long circular motion from the last time of reflection to this one. The time for us to take a step back and to look at ourselves from the outside perspective, so that we can come back to ourselves and see life renewed.